Okay, wow. So my computer, like, for some reason, like, shut down, and instead of just pausing the video, it quit. So I'm just gonna do the end of this really quick, and I'll just try to, notify you, like, hey, this is part of the other video. Even though that video ran a little bit long, but yeah. I'll just, yeah. Anyway, so yeah, we were talking about the top 10 comics. Of course, Kiss, the Psycho Circus is in here. Battle Chasers #1, which, if you remember, they told you don't read; it's not worth it. And Gambit is the subject of Uncanny X-Men 350. It's the trial of Gambit. All of his past secrets come out for being involved in helping the Marauders, leading the Marauders to the Morlocks' home so that they could slaughter them. So, but it's, of course they mentioned the Kiss Psycho Circus because they have a huge article in this issue about it. So that makes total sense. And I think people are intrigued, like, a Kiss comic. Interesting. Because Kiss is, I mean, you just look at them and they're so iconic. Even if you don't know much about them, like, honestly, I don't know much about them, but I know of them and I know who they are because they have such an iconic look and sound. I mean, they even were in a Scooby-Doo movie that I watched that the other day, and I was like, oh my gosh, well, this is kind of cool. I mean, they kind of made them, the members of Kiss, like, out to be like Sailor Moon type characters where they have powers and, like, they change, and how Sailor Moon has, like, the glow around her as she changes and does her powers and stuff. Anyway, so that they made that Kiss Scooby-Doo movie kind of like that. I mean, it was fun, and it had some of their songs in it, so that's always fun. Okay, so we've talked about this before. Famous First, The Killing Joke, first crippled Batgirl. I mentioned it's definitely a darker storyline, but it's a good storyline, but it's definitely darker. I mean, I like this part too. They say good reading or famous first, like, lets you know about different things. Okay, so I promised you the origin of Angela. So here you go. Famous first, Angela, Spawn 9. So Angela is like this, basically 100,000-year-old heavenly bounty hunter. Basically, she works for heaven in hunting Hellspawn. She killed medieval Spawn. She clashed with the present day Spawn. Like I said, Spawn at that time was super popular, like super popular. He was probably one of the biggest superheroes, of the 90s. I mean, he got his own movie made, and of course Todd McFarlane had a lot to do with that because he is very hands-on, very in charge of his own, properties. And that's why he wanted to make Image, like, break off from DC and Marvel to make Image Comics so that he could have more control over his properties, which is interesting because, So anyway, she faces current Spawn, loses, gets put on trial in heaven for being, like, disobedient, for treason, and Spawn actually comes to her aid, and she realized that she and Spawn are much closer, like, in nature than she thought. Because, of course, Spawn is a hell Spawn. He supposedly works for the devil to do his dirty work, but Spawn doesn't want to do that, so he uses his powers instead to help people. And once Spawn's powers run out, then he has to go back to hell. So he uses them sparingly. Anyway, so the thing about her is she, was first in like I said, Spawn 9, 1993. But she is also in Marvel, which, I mean, I like her because I think she, like, has a really cool look to her. This is another one of my statues. Like, you can see my statues behind me, which I don't have all of them up because I don't have enough room. So this is one of the ones that I do not have up there. But I just think she has a really cool look to her. And, I mean, she's a really cool origin. And I kind of totally forgot that this, Asgard assassin, who's actually Thor's big sister, and an Asgardian, is actually the same Angela from Spawn. And you're like, well, how did that happen? So what happened is Todd McFarlane and Neil Gaiman, who actually wrote Sandman, and interestingly enough, Coraline, that really creepy movie about the people with the button eyes. Ooh, that creeped me out. He wrote that book, and they turned it into a movie. But his Sandman is the most famous of his properties. So they basically created Angela together, and years later, they were in a dispute over who actually owned Angela, like who was responsible for her, like who actually owned her, created her. So they had this huge, and her and other properties, other characters, like it was this huge thing, and they had all these lawsuits. So basically, in 2012, they finally settled the dispute, and as part of the settlement, Neil Gaiman got control of Angela. And the next year, 2013, he sold Angela to Marvel. And they decided, and her likeness, her backstory, everything, to Marvel, and said, here, this is my character, but you can have it, if you give me this amount of money. So they did. They used her, and I mean, like I said, she's a really cool character. I'm really just kind of, like I said, drawn mostly to the way she looks, because she just looks really cool, and she has a cool origin. Oh, and here's like the picture of it on the back. It might be easier to see because of the glare of the plastic. Yeah, I'm one of those people. I keep some of my my statues in boxes. If it's easy to take them out of the box, like, and display them, like those up there, yes. But I still save the box. Yeah, I'm one of those people. But, oh well, it's okay. So I just really liked her, and I totally forgot that, yeah, she was actually a Image character first and started in Spawn. Ugh. Okay, so I think like one last thing maybe in here that I marked. Oh, no, more than one. Okay, so we have this one, Storm as a Vampire in Uncanny X-Men 159. I have that comic book. Dracula decides to make Storm his bride. Storm is very appealing to a lot of villains. Remember we just talked about Doctor Doom and their weird flirtation that they had going on? Flirtation / mutual respect / whatever that was. Anyway, yeah, so Dracula wants to make Storm's bride, bites her. She ends up being cured, but the thing is, though, what happens is she actually lives on to be Bloodstorm in the Age of Apocalypse storyline. Sorry, like a cat ran by my window. I'm like, that's not my cat. So Storm, she ends up getting bit, but she gets cured, and she actually lives on as Bloodstorm in the Age of Apocalypse Mutant X storyline, or the Age of Apocalypse storyline featured in Mutant X, which is actually really cool. It's like the alternate version of like if the Age of Apocalypse had actually happened, like if Apocalypse had actually succeeded in taking over. It's a really cool storyline, and there's a lot of alternate versions of characters of X-Men. Okay, so this we've actually talked about a couple times. This Uncanny X-Men 211, it's the first appearance of the Marauders. And like we talked about, Sabretooth, he was part of that group, and Gambit is responsible for leading them into the tunnels, the Morlock tunnels, so that they could wipe out all the Morlocks. And that was Uncanny X-Men 211, and it didn't come out until it was Gambit that actually led the Marauders into the Morlock tunnels for Mr. Sinister until Uncanny X-Men 350. So it was a long lull in between there. Because, of course, Gambit, has a checkered past that not everyone knew about, and no one really asked, He was just kind of like a mysterious guy, and no one really asked, like, what, because he did save Storm, like, the first time they met, he saved Storm, so that kind of got him brownie points. And, of course, all the X-Men don't have, like, perfect past or anything. Like, look at Rogue. She used to be a villain. Wolverine has his, violent tendencies. Cyclops is a jerk. Anyway, I have, like, one of my videos is about him being a jerk, kind of, so, I mean, as a human being, he's kind of a jerk. I mean, everyone's like, oh, he's the Boy Scout of the X-Men, which is kind of true, but he's a jerk. So, and then they have, like, this one, 143, Uncanny X-Men. Basically, it's like the night before Christmas, and Kitty Pryde is alone in the mansion. I should have done this one for Christmas, but I did all my other Christmas ones instead, so maybe this year I'll do this one. Okay, and this one, this, like, we talked about Onslaught, like, see, all these things relate to each other. That's, like, what I love about comic books, is that there's all this little backstory that relates to this, and then comes and relates to this, and then relates to this. So we talked about Xavier becoming evil because he wiped Magneto's mind because of the Fatal Attraction storyline. Well, that wasn't the first time he was evil. This is actually the first time he was evil. It is X-Men and the Micronauts. And honestly, I have this one, but it's been a really, really long time since I've read it because, I have, like, it's been a while since I've counted, but at least 1,500 comic books, probably closer to 2,000. It's been a long time since I counted. Maybe I should count. Anyway, so first Evil Xavier, it's a 4-issue limited series. These Micronauts are like little tiny, basically it's a micro universe, and Xavier goes there and he starts getting rid of entire planets in this microverse. Which, like I said, I'll have to read that again and let you know why he's evil, because I don't remember. Because it's been so long since I've actually read that. So, that's it for that. I hope that you enjoyed this series that we did, and I will have to figure out what we're going to do next, because there's so much I want to talk about, so much I want to cover. Like I said, I think it's fun to do these because it gives you a glimpse into the past of kind of what was going on in the comic book world at the time, and and kind of basically in the world too, like the world of entertainment. So I just think they're fun. I think they're interesting, and I hope you continue watching with me, or yeah. And I hope you subscribe so that you will always know when the next one drops. So until next time, bye.